because, as you know, we don't allow clubs to have the same thing, like the same idea going on. Yes, this has happened in the past, and we don't like having two of the same club just because it's redundant. So start with a fresh new idea, something that you're really passionate about, something that really interests you. That's really important. Next thing, when you're starting your club, it's important to have a support team already there. So you want ideally like a group of friends, just people who have the same interests, same ideas as you. And it's best to have a group of people who can support you and help you along this process, because it can be complicated, and it's important to have people who have the same idea as you, so you can all kind of work together to start this club and really get it going well. Another important thing is to fill out roles for your team from the get-go, so from the beginning. So who would be the president, who would be running socials, who would be in charge of finances. That's all really important to do ahead of time, so that after you create your club, you're not going to be running into like conflicts with who's doing what. So that's really important that you're really clear about who's doing everything, and you know what's going on that way. Another way to find team members, if you don't already have a team, is to post on online forums. So I know there's like lots of you out of like Reddit pages, things like that. You can email your class. I know a lot of people in my first year were actually going like to the beginning of the class. Okay. Can everyone hear me? Just got a message saying that someone couldn't hear. Okay, I'll just keep going. Okay, so I remember in my first year, there were quite a few people actually going to like the front of the class. They just talk to the professor at the beginning and say like, hey, can I just say a few words at the beginning of this class? And they just ask if anyone was interested in like the specific club that they were trying to start, because you do need to have members to begin with, and you do need to have at least 25 students to support the making of your club. So you can post on your social medias, post on online forums, email your class members, and that's a really good way to find people to join your club. So after you've had your idea for your club, the next thing to do is to write up your club's constitution, and this can seem really big and scary and intimidating, but it's really not. We have a huge template online on the CVUO website. So once you go to club registration, right up here, there's the club's policy manual. And as soon as you click club's registration form and you go through the registration form, you'll see this template. And it's really clear. It outlines all of this. It gives you a little description of everything too. So basically what you need is name and abbreviation. So the name of your club, you do need an English and a French name, and that's really important too, as it is a bilingual school. And abbreviations, it would be really helpful if you can make it work in French too, and that's going to kind of tie into the logo as well for your club. So if you can be bilingual, that would obviously be ideal. The next thing is a purpose and objective of your club. You do need a strong purpose, and this is going to help us when we're going through your applications, so that we fully understand what your club is trying to do, what you guys are going to be getting together to do, and the objectives of your club. A strong idea so that we're really clear with what you guys want to do as a club. The third thing you're going to need to mention is executive members. So outlining who your executive members are and what each of them will be doing. A lot of the times it's a president who's going to oversee the VPs, so like finances, marketing, things like that. So again, it's all outlined in this template. It gives you kind of examples of what you should be writing there. And it doesn't have to be a long constitution. Some of the best ones are even just a few pages. You can probably fit all of this onto 1 or 2 pages. And then if you have a French version, you can make the whole thing about 4 pages long. Or if you can't translate it, you can send it to us and we can forward it on to the bilingualism center to translate for you. So again, you have to outline general meetings. So when you guys will be meeting, usually it's about once every month. Some are bi-weekly, things like that. Just outlining what your general meetings are going to be and when you're meeting. And then you're going to be talking about your events, so what the purpose of your events are. So if it's like a cultural club, maybe it's getting together on religious or cultural holidays or for cultural events. If it's an academic club, maybe getting together. If it's like a, I don't know, like a research article reading club that's getting together to read scientific articles, that kind of thing. So it's just the purpose of your events, what you're going to be doing, or if it's a fundraising event, just outlining what exactly you'll be doing. Your executive transition is actually pretty important because we want to know at the end of the year when, like, maybe the fourth year execs leave or just an executive's leaving, we want to know how you're going to be passing on that position, because we want to make sure you're not just passing it on to your friend or things like that, so it's not kind of sketchy. So we do need an outlined executive transition, and you do need some kind of formal election, not specific, like super formal, but it could just be hand raising if you do have more than 25 members. So that just has to be outlined in your constitution. So making your club logo is also super important because it's going to be going on the CVUO website, this is kind of just a glimpse of what it looks like on the CVUO website. This is just the top page there. So your logo would be one of these guys, and ideally, you want your logo to be something really catchy, really distinctive, because when people are looking to join a club, this is where they're going to be going, and they're going to be scrolling through all of these logos, and they want something that's going to tell them, like, what your club is about, as well as just be, like, catchy and, like, stand out to them. So ideally, yeah, again, it would be bilingual. Some of these are bilingual, or you can have one in French and one in English for the English website and then the French website. So these are just some of them. So yeah, these ones are bilingual, which works out really well. Some of the ones that I really like, actually, the Auto Cycling Club, it's really simple. It's in English and French. It doesn't tell you a whole lot about the club, like if they had a bike there or something would be helpful. I also really like the African one because it kind of has the continent of Africa, and then you can tell that it's kind of related to academia with the little graduation cap. And then students supporting the Royal, I really like this one too because it's really clever, just how they made it work with the English and the French. So it works out bilingual really nice, and you can kind of tell it's tied in with mental health. So those are just examples that I thought were really, really creative. So yeah, so make your logo as creative as possible. If you do need help coming up with something, I mean, you can always contact one of us. We have some really talented media people too to give you some pointers. So next up, you're going to need social media. Obviously, in this day and age, most of our contact, especially now that everything's online, is going to be done through social media. Like I'm sure you heard about this clubs conference on social media. So Instagram is a big one just for reaching, like higher reach, like pretty much everyone's on Instagram right now. And then you can use stories, which is really helpful just for like campaigns, short things like that. And then Facebook is perfect for events and sharing documents. So this is really great for Facebook, like this whole event, because we can kind of get an idea of your demographic of like how many people will be coming, I guess, because you can write going, interested, things like that. So you can kind of get a rough idea of how many people you'd be having at your event. And it's also really easy to just share events among like many people really quick. And then Twitter is good for just short like updates. I'm not sure how many of you guys are still on Twitter, but yeah, so it's just good for small little messages. Yeah, like quick updates. Again, Instagram is really good for that too, but Twitter is just fast. It's easy. It's just a text. It's not like a whole post, but things like that, just to make sure that you're reaching as many people as you can with your social media and that it's accessible to pretty much everyone. Okay, so now that you've got all of that laid out, when it comes to registering your club, I'm going to go through that whole process. I'm going to go through the registration form with you, actually, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the approval process and then what resources you will have access to as a club. So for club registration, the most important thing, in my opinion, is to go through the club's policy manual first, because that's going to outline everything you need to know to start a club. It's going to outline all the rules, all the policy for actually being a club, and I'm going to go through that. And that's just a good thing to go through at the beginning so that you won't run into trouble down the road. So I'm just going to see if you can share. So this club registration form is going to pop up right here once you click it on the website. And we're just going to go through it pretty quickly, but really what you're going to need is your full official name. And this has happened before, but please don't put your name. This is the club's name. So this is the club's full official name in English, and then in French. You're going to need a club email address, and this cannot be your U Ottawa email address. This has to be the club's official email address. Here you'd put all your club social links. And again, this has to be the U Ottawa specific social links. If you're affiliated with a larger club body, like for example, the CCO, they have a larger organization. We don't want just CCO's general social media links. We want your specific U Ottawa social links. So then you're going to pick what club category you fall under. So philanthropic, if you guys are fundraising for donating to charities. If you are recreational club, academic. If you don't know exactly what your club might be, if it's not super obvious to you, again, you can always ask and we can tell you what category you'd best fall under. Then the description is also super important. So try not to just put minimal effort into your application, because this is what people are going to see when they go onto the website to learn about your club, and they're going to decide whether I want to join or not based on this description and based on what you're presenting on the website. So you can throw in your English description and ideally a French one, but again, if you can't translate it yourself, you can send it to us and we can translate it for you, or we'll forward it on to the Bilingualism Center for them to translate it. So again, this is the Constitution template that I mentioned earlier. So it just mentions, again, each thing that you need, and then it kind of gives you a little description of everything you're going to need to throw into your Constitution. And then you can, again, you can post it bilingually or you can send it in English or French, either way. And then your display image, so that's your logo. So that's going to be the image that's displayed on the website, and you can send in an English and a French one, or you can send in a bilingual one. So now your exec information. The signing officers are the two very important people from your club, because they're going to be getting all the login information, the VEMS information, and they're going to be the ones who can book spaces through VEMS. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but these two people are very important. So they need to be people who are checking their emails for updates from us, because we send all our emails to the signing officers if they're really important. Like for club funding, your signing officers are going to be the ones completing the club funding application. And so if they are very important, if they're not the ones submitting some of these important applications, we can't actually approve them because we're not sure who exactly is submitting this form. Like it could just be anyone. So again, make sure your signing officers are two people who can invest some time into this club. And then you're going to need a list of your current executive members. They don't have to be their positions, just first name, last name, and again, U Ottawa emails. And it's important that they are U Ottawa emails. They have to be U Ottawa students. And then just the table with 25 students that support the creation of your club. Again, they don't have to be members of the club, but again, just supporting the creation of it. And that's it. That's really simple. That's just the application form. But make sure you really are putting a lot of effort into this application. So because it's short and it's fairly easy, it is all we have to go on when we're reading through your applications to decide should we approve or should we not approve your club. So if you're missing important information, so sometimes we get applications where a phone number and email address is missing. We can't contact you, and then it's just going to delay your process because we need to contact you, ask for this email address, ask for this phone number, ask for this contact information, and that's going to delay the entire approval process, which just slows us down, and then it's going to slow down your approval of your club. And then, so outlining your constitution is also really important, just so we have a full understanding of what you guys want to do as a club and what events you have going on. We want to make sure that you're not doing the same thing another club is already doing, because again, then we can't approve you. So just conclusion messages, just try to make your application as nice as possible in this short way. But so the important things to highlight is your logo, the constitution is really clear, and just make sure that all your information is filled out correctly. And again, if you have any questions, you can always email us or contact us about this form, and we can try to help walk you through it. So I'm gonna go back to this presentation. So, okay, so the approval process takes approximately 2 weeks. I'm the one who actually goes through the applications. So when they come in, I just get a little email notification and I try to do them. Yeah, so from the time you actually apply, I try to do it in about 2 weeks. Sometimes this may be shorter, this may be a bit longer, depending on what's going on. It's really busy. Before, like a couple weeks ago, I was really busy with club funding and all, so we kind of held off on the club approvals. But yeah, so right now it takes about 2 weeks, and that's on an interim basis. So I approve the club on a preliminary basis, and then the Student Union Services Committee sits once a month, and I just prepare a big document with all of the clubs approved, and then they have to go through everything again as well to make sure that I didn't miss anything, and then they decide if they're going to approve the club or not. And then after that happens, you will get your BEMS ID after the UOSU approves it. And with that BEMS login information, you can book rooms and spaces and like equipment on campus. Again, this year things are a bit different with COVID, but you will have access to all of the resources that we provide once you guys are approved. So next up, the club resources that are available to you. So VEMS allows you to book rooms and spaces on campus. They allow you audio visual so that you can get projectors, speakers. It's really a lot. Tables, chairs, a stage, even depending on the room. And there is a video guide for this on our website if you want, because VEMS can be a little bit complicated for booking rooms and spaces. So just watch the video guide on our website. It's under resources as well. And that's going to help walk you through the whole VEMS booking process. So that would be more helpful, I guess, in the subsequent years when you can book spaces on campus. But it is super important, and it is really, really an amazing resource to you because a lot of this is just included as being a club. A few of the multimedia rooms, I think there is a small fee for them, but they really do a lot. Like a lot of the events, they'll do cleanup, tear down, things like that. And it's just a big, big help from conventions and reservations. So UOSU also provides some really cool resources like the Zoom Productions, which is a media team from UOSU. Sorry, I'm just looking for exactly. They're a media team, and they offer free photography services, which is really cool. Film editing for videos and camera equipment rental services, and again, that's all free. So if you do want to do events, even this year, like if you want to go outside, like I think Zoom Productions is still going, so it's photography for events, which is really cool. And then yeah, so if you want to put like a video together of how an event went, or maybe you want to make a video, like a promotional video, they can help you out with that. And you can find them on the OSU website under services. And then there's also the Students' Rights Center, which is really helpful. If you guys have any issues like internally between members, the Students' Rights Center can really help you deal with any legal situation you find yourselves into, or just some advice before making a decision. If you guys get into, like, if you can't all agree on something, the Students' Rights Center is actually really, really helpful, and they're just really good at listening too, and just helping you. Also, so if someone comes to you with a problem, maybe as an executive member, the Students' Rights Center can probably help guide them in the right direction. And lastly, the Bilingualism Center is so amazing. Many of you guys reach out to us to translate your constitutions or just your descriptions if you're not able to, because they are big documents. You want to make sure that they're translated correctly. So the Bilingualism Center offers free translations, and you can reach a lot more students if you are bilingual, because there are so many bilingual students, or there's so many French-speaking students on campus. So if you can't translate your constitutions from English to French or French to English, they can really help you. And they actually also do language lessons, which is really cool. And they can help you with your promotional documents too, like big documents, promotions, things like that. And last of all, CVUO. So what we offer in terms of resources is just recently we came up with a new system for club funding. So we had this new tier system. I'm sure some of you guys already applied. So I'm not going to get super detailed into this, but again, there was tier Sapphire, which was anywhere from $50 to $1,000, a Ruby tier from $1,000 to $2,500, and $2,500 to $5,000 for club funding, which is a heck of a lot. So that was no small process, but it was, it's a huge huge resource to you guys so that you don't have to be paying out of pocket for these big events that you guys want to hold. And for equipment rentals, for booking spaces, things like that. So club funding can be really helpful for you guys so that you can do more for your members. You can also co-host with CVUO. So pretty much you can reach out to us for any event that you're interested in co-hosting with us, discuss with you how much involvement you want from CVUO. In the past, we've seen that clubs will use this to get free photography because we also have a really talented media team. They're great with photography and putting videos together. So obviously we not doing much of this now due to COVID, but other stuff such as promotion of your event or help with logistics of your event, translations, design, and more, you can contact us. We can help you through that. So just send us an email whenever, and we can help you try to figure out your event if you want. So anything with logistics, like if you're trying to figure out how to maybe put an event together, we have a super talented events team who put this conference together, and they can probably help walk you through maybe how you'd put one of your events together. Okay, and then the next thing is bank letters. Okay, so that kind of ties into club funding, but bank letters, it's just a form, it's just a letter that verifies the status of your club, that you're actually affiliated with the university. And usually when you go to make a bank account with any bank, they're going to ask for some verification. So you can send an email to our club president. He's the one who makes the bank letters. And they're just given out as requested to us by your team. So just reach out and ask and just say that you need a bank letter, and we'll just email it back to you. This usually takes like less than a day. Like we can have it done in the same day. It doesn't take a long time. But the only thing to consider is that right now we are kind of trying to work with a specific bank just to make it easier for club funding. So if right now you haven't started a club, if you could hold off on getting set up with a bank right now, because we're trying to get set up with a specific bank just to make it easier for club funding, just so we can all move the funds into one bank directly, would be a lot easier. So if you can hold off until January, that's when we're probably going to partner with the bank we're looking at. Okay, so last thing I was going to go through is volunteer hours as an executive. So you do get volunteer hours as an executive member, which is awesome. It allows you to obtain a co-curricular record, and it looks really good on your resume. So the whole process is pretty detailed. I'm not going to go super into detail, but for setting up, the first thing you need to do is set up your placements. So in your team, you're going to need a volunteer coordinator and a volunteer supervisor. So the coordinator is the one who creates placements for all the volunteers of your team. And then because the coordinator can't approve their own hours, you need a volunteer supervisor who's going to create the placement of the coordinator. Hopefully you understood that, but yeah, it's just because you can't approve your own hours. And again, the volunteer coordinator, the volunteer navigator website is it's a little bit complicated to go through, but they did a really good job. They made YouTube videos, and the video links are just right here. And they're really detailed and really easy to follow for creating placements. So yeah, so you're going to need to create placements. You actually don't need to create a placement for each executive member role. You can just say a general placement, like as executive member for your club, and that's enough for everyone. You don't have to make specific placements and complicate that, which is great. It's going to make it a little bit easier for you. So the next thing is approving timesheets. So if you are a coordinator or a supervisor, you have to be the one approving the timesheets. Again, another video tutorial is linked over there. And just remember that the number of hours approved must be legitimate and reflect the number of hours actually completed. You can actually get a lot of hours just by the amount of stuff you do. You'll be surprised how much work you actually put into your clubs event. They're really just small things that you can get hours for. So it's really not hard to get hours. And yeah, just try to be honest as much as possible. Okay, so responsibility of the volunteer, you need to register your placement. So you do need to register on the website. The coordinator cannot match you with the placement. And this goes with any placements you've done. If you've already worked with this, the Michel Jean Center, you already know that they can't match you directly. You have to go on there and match yourself to your placement. So it's important that you fill out your timesheets accurately and timely every once every 2 weeks would be ideal, just so you're putting in your placements on time, and then your coordinator and your supervisor can approve your hours on time, just so you guys are working together more or less. You're not holding each other back. Again, this is another helpful video for the volunteer, how to fill out your timesheets. And then, so what actually counts for hours? Again, this week, this list is so long. It's meetings, so just general meetings for your team. You can get hours for that. For event planning and hosting, not even just for the event itself, just for planning it, you'll get hours. Fundraising, bake sales, research, writing. I know the Constitution can take a long time to write, so make sure you get that hour in. Marketing, promotion, social media. If you're working on like a publication, if you've been spending hours on Canva, you can totally get that hour. For recruiting, answering emails and admin duties, association office hours. You're probably not doing office hours now, but when that starts up again, or if you are, you can get those office hours. And for one-on-one week, again, one-on-one week was online, but you can still get office hours for that. And make sure you are, when you're completing your placements for those, you're really detailed, saying what you did, just so it's easier for your coordinator to understand what exactly you did, what they're approving you for. So if you just write one-on-one week, it might not be super clear. Like you can say one-on-one week, like coordinating a Zoom call, things like that. So what doesn't count is traveling to and from campus. Again, you're not doing that anymore, but exec socials, that doesn't count as a volunteer hour or any paid activity. And that's it for what I have for you guys for this club's basic workshop. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, and I think Luam will direct me to them. But yeah, that's it.
That was awesome. That was a great presentation, Rosie. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, leave them in the chat, or you can... okay, so we have one question. Can you modify your logo? Is there a specific process?
Yes, absolutely you can. So at any time, if you want to modify your logo, you're just not going to do it over the same registration website you did, because there would be no point filling out the whole registration process. But you can literally just send us the JPEG or the PNG file, whatever it is, to our email, and then we're going to forward it to the website person, and then he can just change it on the website. So just send us an email, and that's actually a good question. So if you want to change your executive officers, so your signing officers, or any information regarding that, you can just email us, and we'll go into the file where we have all of your club information, and we can change it there. Even your description, everything like that goes onto the website, just send us an email, and we'll get our webmaster to change that for you.
Okay, awesome. Oh, by the way, do you have an email? Oh, that was awesome. Do you have an email that people can reach you at, by the way? I don't know if you mentioned it.
Yes. So, yeah. So, if you want just a basic one, there's info@cvuo.ca, or you can send it to the president at cvuo.ca. Me personally, it's external@cvuo.ca. And that would be where you can just send any emails. But again, if you just send the emails in and it doesn't seem like it applies to us specifically, we'll forward it to the person who it does apply to. And then, I think all of us check our email at least every other day.
Okay, awesome. So we got another question. This is our first year as a ratified club through the CVUO, and we haven't received any information regarding funding. Is there a certain amount that clubs receive in base funding? Thank you.
Okay, so that's a good question, but no, there's no amount that clubs receive in base funding, because we don't know what exactly that money would be going for, so we're not sending just a base amount to every club. It was an application. So we sent out a lot of emails at the beginning of this school year about club funding, about when the applications were up. So there's an application on the website for club funding that you would have had to have done within the first 2 weeks of school. I believe it ended on September 15th. I think we closed the application, but that was just for the fall semester. So there's going to be another application going up for the winter semester where you can apply again. And again, it goes with that tier system. So you have to apply for that specific tier and then for that amount. So if you're applying for anything between $50 and I think it was $500, is in that first tier, and then like 500 to 25, and then 25 to 5,000. So there's no base funding, but it's whatever amount you want to apply for, you need to apply for that specifically. And there is a form for that, just so we know exactly where the money is going to be going, and that you can validate what you're going to be using the money for.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I know club funding is like a really new thing. So a lot of clubs are kind of blindsided by like, oh, they only had 2 weeks to do it. But hopefully more clubs will apply in the winter, So we got another question that says, how often does the Constitution need to be updated?
If there are any changes with with who your executive members are, or like what roles you've got as executive members, you can update that. And again, you can just send that to us, and we can update it for you on our system. And then again, if you have a change in your executive transition process, you can change that. But if everything is staying the same, you really don't need to update it. It's just if anything changes, so just read through it every so often, I guess, and make sure everything is current. Or if you do have a big change to what was already written, then you can update it.
Okay, awesome. And another question says, what would an executive transition look like for a club with less than 25 members since it doesn't reach the threshold to a vote?
So you actually can still vote if you have less than 25 members. But a lot of clubs just have really simple transitions. Like they'll just say they'll have like applications, maybe, or they'll just have someone who shows interest in this application, and then they'll go through. I can think like of an example would just be someone else is interested in, say, the financial position, and then you can literally just train them. They can just say they'll be trained, and then in the next subsequent year they'll train the next person. It's just really so that you have a clear outline of like how the transition will go. I could try to find an example maybe of this. Sorry, I'm just going to stop sharing, and then I can see if I can find a good example of this. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. Like literally it could be just small applications or just messages like showing interest in the position, and then just deciding based on those small applications who would be best suited for that position. I don't know if that answers your question, or if you want an example, you can let me know.
Yeah, let Rosie know if you want an example. I think that was like pretty clear though. Okay, perfect. So we have another question that says, if you apply for club funding for, say, event A, but decide that you want to cancel event A and host event B, would you need to return the funding and apply again? That's a really good question, I think.
That is a really good question. So, so because this year was the first year we kind of implemented this new funding process, it was kind of tricky, but the way we ideally want to do it is that, if you apply and you say, I have this event that I want to fund, and say it's a $500 event, and then you have event B, which is like a $600 event, so in total we give you $1,100, and you don't end up doing event A, ideally we would have you give that money back, because we are asking for receipts just to make sure that you are spending the money on that, because it would be super easy to just embezzle all the money we give you. If not. So we are asking for receipts. We're going to have a system. We're just working on a form right now, actually, to be put online, so that when you guys get your money and you are spending it on specific things like equipment, rental spaces for events, they're going to put those receipts online on that same form, just so we can kind of validate it. And those receipts are actually going to get sent to our director of finance at UOSU. So it's not even us specifically who are looking at it. And if they think that that they're going to ask for the funding back because it wasn't completely spent, it can be asked for. They will ask for it back. Yeah.
Okay.
So again, they can send an amendment to their application too, but there's no guarantee that it will be approved. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so let Rosie know if that made sense for you. I think that made pretty good sense. So next question we have is on the same topic as this event A versus event B question. If we had originally put money in our budget towards in-person events, but now are doing a virtual version of the event, would we need to return the money and reapply?
Okay, so if you could take that money and use it towards the virtual version, so say you need to pay for Zoom, you can do that and then just justify that in your receipts. So when you get the receipts and then you submit them, you can just say that we used the money that was for this, but we put it towards Zoom. And if you aren't using, okay, sorry, I'm just reading through this again. Okay.
All good. Take your time.
Okay, so before spending on a virtual event, just tell us what you're going to be using it for beforehand, and then I guess we can approve it for that specifically. Yeah, so the committee meets once per month, and they are the ones. So UOSU is the one who approves the funding. It's not us specifically. So they need to let us know that they're changing what you're spending your money on. So instead of having like booking a rental space, you're going to use it for Zoom. You need to let us know beforehand. So you can send us an email. You don't need to. There's no application form right now for amendments, but you can send us an email and just say, "Hello, we're not having this in-person event anymore. Like due to the rules, I guess, and regulations right now. And this is what we want to put the money towards." And then we're going to send that on to UOSU and the committee, and then they can either approve it or not approve it. And if they don't approve it, then the money will have to be returned because there's no way to justify what you're spending the money on.
Okay, so just like in general, they should like let the committee know what they're going to spend their money on otherwise before they actually like go on and spend the money somewhere else.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Okay, last question. And oh, sorry, what?
Yeah, sorry, just that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the committee does meet once per month. Usually around the middle of the month, I would say, maybe towards the end. So the thing is, you just have to let us know. So I would say, like, at most a month in advance. Like if there's an event in December, would we have time for this? Oh yeah, for sure. So if you let us know now ideally what you want to do, anytime between now and November would be enough because they meet once a month. So, and as soon as we get the information, we pass it on to UOSU. We will like compile a document and then meet once a month to talk to them about what's going on. And it's just it's not a whole application we need to go through again. It's just that small amendment. So it shouldn't take that long for them to discuss it and either approve it or not approve it.
Awesome. Yeah, that was perfect. Well, thank you so much, Rosie, for giving the presentation, answering people's questions. I think, it looks like everyone, appreciated it and, got a lot of insight from it. I'm just going to put these links in the chat again. Make sure you guys put in your information for the giveaway so that, you'll have a chance to win. As you can see, there's not too many people in here. There's a pretty good chance to win. We want you guys to enjoy the whole conference and stuff. And thank you so much, Rosie, for helping us with this whole conference and doing your workshop. If you guys have any questions, you can message her on the Zoom chat. I'm sure she'll be here for just a wee bit. And or email her externe@cvio.ca. So the next workshop is actually going to be starting now, so we better leave. So I'm going to ask Hassan to close the breakout room, but you guys can also press leave room and then leave breakout room to do that as well. Yeah, awesome.